Long ago, in the arid lands of Sind, there lived a king of Bambor. One day, as he wandered near the river, he came across a beautiful baby girl floating on a basket in the water. The baby's eyes sparkled like stars, her tiny face radiant with innocence. The king, astounded and enchanted by her beauty, decided to take her home. He named her Sasi, which means pure, for she seemed as innocent and flawless as the morning light. Sasi grew up under the king's care, loved and cherished like a precious jewel. She was no ordinary girl. She possessed extraordinary beauty. Her eyes were like the moon, and her hair flowed like the dark night sky. She was gentle, kind-hearted, and wise beyond her years. People from far and wide came to see her, marveling at her charm, though she remained humble and pure in spirit. As Sasi grew, her life became intertwined with fate. In a distant land, in the mountainous region of Balochistan, a prince named Punu was born into the royal family of Ketch. Punu was brave, handsome, and noble, yet he carried the weight of his family's honor on his shoulders. He was taught to be fearless, wise, and just, a man fit to rule his people. One day, as fate would have it, a traveling caravan arrived in Sasi's town. Among them was Punu, who had come to see the lands beyond his mountains. When Sasi and Punu first saw each other, it was as if the world paused. Punu's heart raced at the sight of Sasi's beauty, while Sasi felt a strange and deep connection she could not explain. It was love at first sight, pure, overwhelming, and destined. But their love was not easy. Sasi was the adopted daughter of the Bambor king, and Punu was a prince from a distant land. They came from different worlds, and their union would not be simple. Yet neither distance nor societal rules could dim the fire that had ignited between them. They met secretly in gardens and by rivers, speaking softly under the stars, their hearts beating in unison. Sasi's beauty and purity became the subject of whispers across the kingdom. Some admired her, others envied her. Among those who envied her was a cunning minister who began plotting against her, fearing that her presence might one day overshadow the royal family. Meanwhile, Sasi remained innocent and unaware of the danger that lurked nearby. She spent her days tending to the gardens, learning music and poetry, and helping the poor. Her heart, however, always wandered to thoughts of Punu, imagining the day they could be together freely. Punu, on the other hand, was torn between duty and desire. His father, the king of Ketch, had grand plans for him to marry a princess of noble lineage. He respected his father and wished to honor his wishes, yet his love for Sasi was so strong that no earthly power could separate him from her in spirit. He wrote secret letters to Sasi, hidden in the petals of flowers, expressing his longing and devotion. Sasi read them with tears in her eyes, each word deepening her love and commitment. Days turned into months, and their love grew stronger despite the obstacles. Sasi's heart remained faithful, and Punu's devotion never wavered. Friends of both, noticing the intensity of their bond, advised them to seek the blessings of their families. But society was rigid, and kings did not bend easily. The tension between love and duty, desire and honor, began to shape their fates. One fateful day, Punu had to return to his homeland. The thought of leaving Sasi behind filled him with sorrow, yet he promised her that no matter the distance, their hearts would remain united. He gave her a ring, a symbol of his unwavering love, and they parted with tears and whispered vows under the moonlight. Sasi watched him leave, her heart heavy but filled with hope. She believed in their destiny, trusting that true love would find its way no matter the trials ahead. Thus began the tale of Sasi Punu, a love story so deep that even the gods watched in wonder. Their story was not merely a tale of romance, but of courage, sacrifice, and the power of a heart that refuses to surrender. Sasi, the pure-hearted girl from Bambor, and Punu, the noble prince of Ketch, were bound together by a love that was fated to face challenges beyond imagination. As Sasi grew into a young woman, her beauty and grace became legendary. People spoke of her with reverence, and poets composed verses in her honor. Yet, the happiness she felt was incomplete without Punu by her side. She would sit by the river, gazing at the horizon, imagining the day their paths would cross again, dreaming of a love that was eternal. In the kingdom of Ketch, Punu too struggled with thoughts of Sasi. His days were filled with royal duties, but his nights were haunted by memories of her smile, her voice, and her eyes. He could not eat, could not sleep, for his heart belonged to Sasi alone. He knew that fate had entwined their lives, and no power on earth could sever the bond between them. Thus, the stage was set for a love story that would echo through generations, a story of devotion, sacrifice, and the ultimate triumph of true love over all obstacles. After Punu returned to his homeland, the distance between him and Sasi began to feel unbearable. Sasi, though surrounded by beauty and comfort in Bambor, could not forget the prince whose eyes had captured her soul. Every sunrise reminded her of the moments they had shared by the river. Every gentle breeze whispered his name. Her heart ached with longing, yet her faith in their love never wavered. Meanwhile, Punu, back in the rugged mountains of Ketch, struggled with the weight of duty. His father had insisted on marrying him to a princess from a noble family to strengthen alliances. Though he obeyed out of respect for his father, Punu could not bring himself to love another. Every night he traced the memory of Sasi's face, her smile, and the ring she had worn from him, praying that fate would guide him back to her. Back in Bambor, Sasi's beauty continued to attract attention, and not all of it was welcome. The cunning minister, jealous of her charm, began spreading rumors to tarnish her reputation. He whispered lies to the king, trying to convince him that Sasi's heart was restless, that she longed for someone unworthy. But the king, who had raised Sasi as his own, trusted her purity and dismissed the minister's deceit. Still, Sasi could feel the shadow of danger creeping closer. One day, Sasi's longing for Punu grew so intense that she decided to send a secret message. She wrote a letter, pouring her heart into every word, and entrusted it to a trusted messenger. She asked that it reach Punu no matter the distance, trusting that he would understand her feelings and her suffering. Days passed, and Sasi waited anxiously. Each moment without news felt like an eternity. Punu received Sasi's letter in Ketch and read it under the moonlight. Tears filled his eyes as he traced her words, each sentence echoing the depth of their love. He knew then that no earthly power could keep them apart. But he also realized the dangers of defying his father's wishes. His heart was torn between the love he could not forsake and the loyalty he owed his family. Despite these obstacles, Punu resolved to see Sasi again. He secretly prepared for a journey, disguising his intentions from everyone, including his closest companions. He longed to hold her hand, to hear her voice, and to tell her that their love would survive all trials. Meanwhile, Sasi, unaware of his plans, continued her life with hope in her heart, tending the gardens, helping the poor, and waiting for the day they could be reunited. However, fate was cruel. Before Punu could reach Bambor, news arrived that the minister had plotted against Sasi in secret. He had bribed some men to kidnap her and take her far from the kingdom. One evening, as Sasi walked by the river, she was seized and carried away into the night. The stars that had once witnessed her love with Punu now watched silently as she was taken to an unknown place far from the home she loved. Sasi awoke in a distant land, terrified and alone. Her heart ached not only for her safety but for Punu, who she feared would never find her. Yet her spirit remained strong. She whispered prayers to the heavens, asking for guidance and strength. The wind seemed to carry her words across mountains and rivers as if reaching Punu, letting him know she remained faithful and courageous. When Punu learned of Sasi's abduction, he was struck with grief and rage. He could not rest, nor eat, nor sleep. Determined to rescue his beloved, he gathered a small group of trusted men and set out on a perilous journey across deserts, rivers, and mountains. Each step of the journey tested his courage as dangers lurked at every turn. Yet his love for Sasi gave him strength beyond measure, and nothing could deter him from his mission. Meanwhile, Sasi endured hardships in the land where she was held. Though her captors tried to intimidate her, she remained dignified and composed. Her beauty, wisdom, and resilience impressed even those who had been sent to control her. She would often gaze at the horizon, imagining Punu's arrival, and whisper to the wind, "Come to me, my love. Our hearts are bound by destiny, and no force can separate us." Days turned into weeks, and Punu continued his search tirelessly. He crossed scorching deserts and climbed treacherous mountains, guided only by his love for Sasi. Finally, after a long and dangerous journey, he reached the land where she was kept. Their eyes met across the courtyard, and in that instant the world fell away. They ran to each other, embracing with tears and whispers, vowing never to be separated again. Yet their trials were far from over. Even though they were reunited, they knew that returning to Bambor and the kingdom of Ketch would not be simple. They would have to face societal opposition, family expectations, and the shadows of jealousy and intrigue that still lingered. But in that moment, holding each other, they felt invincible. Their love, forged in adversity, had survived the cruelties of fate, and nothing could break it. Thus, Sasi and Punu's love deepened, stronger than before. Their hearts were intertwined, their souls united in a bond that no power on earth could sever. And yet, the story of their devotion, their struggles, and the ultimate price of their love was only beginning. The journey ahead would test the limits of courage, patience, and faith as they continued to fight for the love that destiny had chosen for them. Even after reuniting, Sasi and Punu knew their path would not be easy. The world around them was filled with jealousy, envy, and societal constraints. Families and kings had expectations, and their love, pure as it was, challenged the customs of the time. They had to be brave, clever, and patient to face the trials that awaited them. One day, Punu's father summoned him to Ketch. Duty called, and Punu had no choice but to obey. He could not leave Sasi unprotected, but he had to follow his responsibilities as a prince. With a heavy heart, he promised Sasi that he would return soon, and Sasi, trusting their love, bade him farewell. The separation, though temporary, filled both of them with sorrow. Their hearts ached, but their love was unwavering. After Punu left, Sasi continued her daily life, tending to the gardens, singing by the river, and helping the needy. Yet, the emptiness in her heart was unbearable. Every moment reminded her of Punu, the warmth of his hand, the kindness in his eyes, the soft laughter that had once filled her days. She spent nights gazing at the moon, whispering prayers for his safety and longing for their reunion. Fate, however, had more trials in store. The cunning minister, still seeking revenge and power, saw an opportunity to separate the lovers forever. He spread false news that Punu had married another princess in Ketch. Sasi's heart shattered at the thought. She could not bear the idea of living without Punu. Her sorrow turned into determination. If the world would not allow them to be together, she would fight destiny itself to find him. Without hesitation, Sasi left Bambor secretly, guided only by the hope of finding Punu. She ventured into the wilderness, crossing deserts, forests, and mountains. Her journey was perilous. Sandstorms threatened to bury her, Wild animals lurked in the shadows, and the scorching sun tested her endurance. Yet her love for Punu fueled her courage. She whispered to the wind, "My love, wherever you are, I will find you. Nothing can keep our hearts apart." Meanwhile, Punu, unaware of Saucy's journey, continued his duties in Ketch. Yet every day, thoughts of her consumed him. He felt her absence like a constant ache. One night, under the stars, he decided he could no longer wait. He set out on a journey to find Saucy, fearing that she might face dangers alone. Clad in simple clothes and accompanied by only a few loyal friends, he traversed deserts and valleys, guided by the memory of her eyes and the strength of their bond. As Saucy wandered the desert, she faced unimaginable hardships. Thirst, hunger, and exhaustion tested her spirit, but she refused to give up. Her love for Punu became a beacon in the darkness, guiding her through the vast, unforgiving landscape. She sang songs of hope, and the wind seemed to carry her voice across the land, as if reaching Punu himself. Days turned to nights and nights into weeks. Punu, following her trail, overcame similar challenges. The harsh desert winds, scorching sun, and treacherous terrain could not weaken his determination. He knew that love was not merely an emotion, it was a force stronger than life itself. With every step, he felt closer to Saucy, even if the distance remained great. Finally, in the middle of the desert, by a small oasis, fate brought them together once more. They ran to each other, their hearts pounding with joy, fear, and relief. Tears streamed down their faces as they embraced, their love stronger than ever. They whispered promises of never leaving each other, vowing to face all challenges together, no matter how cruel destiny might be. Yet their journey was far from over. The world outside still demanded obedience, respect for customs, and adherence to family expectations. But in that moment, surrounded by the endless desert, Saucy and Punu realized that their love was their true kingdom. No palace, no title, no law could match the bond they shared. Their hearts were united, their souls intertwined, and their love had been tested by fire and sand. The desert became a symbol of their devotion, harsh, unforgiving, yet beautiful in its purity. They understood that true love required sacrifice, courage, and unwavering faith. Every step they took together was a testament to their commitment. And though the world might challenge them again, Saucy and Punu were ready to face it hand in hand. Thus, the story of Saucy and Punu grew even more legendary. Their love, born at first sight, tested by distance, danger, and deceit, now shone as a beacon of hope for all who believed in the power of the heart. The journey of Saucy Punu through deserts and trials became a tale that inspired generations, a reminder that true love is never easy, but always worth the struggle. After months of wandering through deserts and overcoming countless dangers, Saucy and Punu's love had grown stronger than ever. Their hearts were united and their souls were intertwined. Yet fate, as always, had one final test in store for them, a trial that would demand the ultimate sacrifice of love, courage, and faith. Word of their defiance and reunion soon reached the kings of Bambor and Keech. Both families, bound by honor and pride, could not accept a love that ignored traditions and societal rules. Envoys were sent to bring them back, insisting that duty and obedience must come before desire. Saucy and Punu, exhausted but resolute, refused to part. They explained that their love was not a rebellion, but a destiny chosen by the heavens, a bond that no law or decree could sever. The kings, angered and frustrated, threatened them with exile. They warned that if Sasi and Punu did not obey, they would be forced to live alone, separated forever. Despite the fear of being torn apart, the lovers remained steadfast. They chose the path of love over worldly power, trusting that the truth of their devotion would endure beyond life itself. As they fled once more, the desert became their sanctuary and their prison. The scorching sun beat down upon them, while nights grew cold and lonely. They faced hunger, thirst, and exhaustion, yet each step they took together strengthened their resolve. Their conversations were filled with hope and courage, their hands always clasped, their hearts always beating in unison. Days passed, and the trials of the desert began to take their toll. Sasi, who had endured so much, grew weak. Punu tried to carry her, to shield her from the relentless heat and the unforgiving sands, but nature was merciless. He whispered words of comfort, promising that no force on earth or in heaven could separate them. "Our love is eternal," he said. "Even if we die, our hearts will remain together." Finally, after days of wandering, both Sasi and Punu reached the edge of the desert, but the journey had left them exhausted beyond measure. Sasi, with her strength fading, could walk no further. Punu, holding her in his arms, realized that their trials had reached their ultimate limit. In that moment, surrounded by the endless desert, they understood that love was not merely about being together in life, but about the unbreakable bond of hearts, even in the face of death. As they embraced for the final time, Sasi whispered to Punu, "Our love will live forever, in every star, in every wind, in every heart that believes in the power of devotion." Punu kissed her forehead, tears streaming down his face, and replied, "I will carry your love with me beyond life, beyond time, until the end of eternity." With that, their souls surrendered to the will of fate. The desert, silent and endless, witnessed their final embrace. Legends say that even the heavens wept, honoring a love so pure and unwavering that no human or divine force could conquer it. Sasi and Punu had achieved what few could. They had shown the world that true love is stronger than fear, stronger than death, and stronger than the constraints of society. Their story did not end in the physical world, but it became immortal in the hearts of those who heard it. Poets composed verses of Sasi and Punu, praising their courage, patience, and devotion. Generations remembered the lovers who chose destiny over duty, love over power, and the eternal bond that transcended all trials. Today, the tale of Sasi and Punu remains a symbol of love and devotion. It teaches that true love is never easy, but its purity can illuminate the darkest paths. Their journey through deserts, separation, and societal opposition reminds us that the heart's courage can overcome every obstacle, and that love, when genuine, is everlasting. In the end, Sasi and Punu became more than a story. They became a legend. Their love, tested by time, hardships, and fate, continues to inspire those who believe that hearts, when truly united, can endure anything. Theirs was a love that lived beyond death, beyond kingdoms, and beyond the constraints of the world, shining as a beacon of hope and faith for all eternity.